Inktovers, and welcome back to my fourth and final Inktober process video. This piece is inspired by the 3-day festival for the Day of the Dead that spans from October 31st to November 2nd. I decided to expand on a character that I had previously created. I wanted to make a atmosphere around this character as opposed to just a character kind of floating in a space. So I did quite a bit of research on Dia de los Muertos and the really iconic character of a woman dressed in a red gown. She's called Calavera Catrina. I learned that she was created by a very famous Mexican illustrator, Jose Posada. It's supposed to depict a European woman of the 20th century, very moneyed individual, and the whole illustration that he did back then was meant to be a commentary on death and how at the end, when you strip us down to bare bones, we are all the same, regardless of financial standing or culture or sex or religion, anything like that. Once you're dead, you're dead. And, you know, the spirits and the goddesses and the gods, they all see you as the same. So in my own illustration of this character, I wanted to try and respectfully expand on the storyline and say that this woman spends every other day of the year as the Grim Reaper. She is the spirit of the Grim Reaper, as well as a goddess. She is the goddess of life and death. But on the days leading to Dia de los Muertos, where the living celebrates their dead and honors their dead, she removes her black cloak and hood and she begins to prepare the spirits in the spirit world to return back to the living world to visit their family. So that is what the depiction of the flowers are. It's almost as if the gifts and the prayers that the living are leaving at the altars, she goes and collects them, and she, says, this flower is from your living loved ones, and she gives it to the appropriate spirit and, sends them on their way back to the living world to visit their relatives. Now, the part of the process that you just watched is me doing the preliminary sketches and taking it from my original idea and reworking it and recreating kind of the world around this character. I also did a lot of color comps because this holiday is filled with so much vibrant color and really a lot of joy. So I tried to do my best to honor the culture that inspired this painting. Now here you can see I'm laying in the background color, and I've kind of decided to do it in steps just to make sure that it didn't get too muddy. So I started out with kind of my lightest colors. That was a gradient from yellow to bluish green. And then I went over with a second layer that was just yellow to show kind of a brighter area. And then I did my shadows with kind of a purpley, like maroon tone. And that comes in from the side, the left side, where there's not as much sunlight. I also had to do a few different layers of masking fluid just to make sure that all the sections were appropriately blocked off when they needed to be. That was an interesting trial and error process, but it worked out really well. I also tried for the first time doing this kind of textured background for where the sun is. I wanted to show like rays of sunlight. It didn't show through as much as I wanted to once I did the kind of sky color in the background, but you'll see how I fix that moving forward. Now, next up is the path to the living world. If you can imagine the spirit realm as this vast and giant place, the goddess, the Reaper, has created this pathway so that the spirits can always find their way back to us. And at the center of it, at the crossroads, is the portal to the living world. So I went back and forth with the coloring of this path. I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be kind of a natural, like, dusty brown road, or if I should make it like a dark paved street. And I finally decided on kind of a darker kind of galaxy tone. Not quite as many stars, but I did kind of align the pathway with like little bright lights, again, to guide the spirits and show some directional movement toward the center portal. Now this is where things get really fun for me anyway. This is my Finetec watercolor palette again. It's got metallic silver and various golds. I used that very pale silver to make the shapes for the ghosts and kind of their bodies, and it turned out awesome. You can also see I used it to recreate the highlights for those sunbeams, so when you move it around you can see the ghosts kind of shimmering and floating, as well as the light shining from their sun. At this point I'm just adding in the galaxy background. I knew once I decided on this kind of path detail that I wanted to show kind of the distance between our world and the spirit world and how far these spirits had to travel to get back to us. I also used some of the silver paint on the background stars and comets just to add a little bit more movement in the background. And here she is, my final Inktober illustration, Calavera Catrina, my Lady of the Dead. I am very happy with the vibrant color that I was able to achieve, and the metallic paints created really great movement. I can only hope that I was able to do justice to this beautiful holiday and the beautiful culture of people that celebrate it. I hope you all enjoyed watching my Inktober videos as much as I enjoyed creating them. I was really happy to finally get back to color. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.